Fischl and Sucrose already rerunning. All three of these rerunning for the first time. Most of these rerunning, I think Ganyu was new here. All three of these rerunning. Bennett rerunning again. Xingqiu rerunning like a third time. It's only 1.3. He's run every patch between 1.0 and 1.3. If you've wished on Hu Tao, you might have wished on Ganyu, but even if you didn't, you probably wished. Maybe you didn't wish on Klee, but one way or another, one of these banners you've wished on, unless you're just doing a weird challenge, and you're getting copies of Xingqiu. Same thing with Sucrose. Same thing with Xiangling. They're rerunning often. Xingqiu getting another rerun with Eula. So that's how many reruns in patch 1.0. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's run 4 times in the 1.0 patches. What happens in 2.0? Well, we get 1, 2. So he only runs twice in the 2.0 banner, but you also have to consider there were much. So that's how many reruns in patch 1.0. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's run 4 times in the 1.0 patches. What happens in 2.0? Well, we get 1, 2. So he only runs twice in the 2.0 banner. But you also have to consider there were much less 4-stars during the 1.0 and 2.0 era. The odds of getting a Xingqiu were actually pretty good from the standard banner. So there were 14 4-stars at launch, and so you had a 1 in 28 chance of getting a Xingqiu from the standard banner, which I'll admit is not crazy high. But most people are going to get 1 or 2 copies of Xingqiu from the standard banner as they use their intertwined fates or their acquainted fates. But over the years, we've had another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Almost triple the amount of 4-stars in the standard banner pool, meaning that you're probably never going to get a Xingqiu. Maybe you get 1 if you're lucky. And I use Xingqiu as an example because he is a 1.0 4-star that really does want his C6. He gets a lot of energy, he gets extra hydro application, he gets a lot from his C6, extra damage. He's a character that really doesn't super pop off until C6. So you want lots of copies. Fortunately though, he's a character that you can get from the shop. But another 4-star character that people tout as very free-to-play friendly and that I see on free-to-play guides all the time is Sucrose. And people call me a whale these days, which I'm not a whale by the way. I get a few 5-star weapons here and there and I get 1 copy of every 5-star character. But I only just C6 Sucrose like just a month ago. It took me, gosh, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 months to get a single copy of Sucrose, and then even then she does need her C1. And she's a more free-to-play friendly character because she only needs her C1 to really pop off. Heaven forbid you actually want to main Chongyun, who absolutely needs a C6. Xiangling needs her C4. I see so many people, and myself included, I'm guilty of this as well, talking about how good and how free-to-play friendly Xiangling is, and you need her C4 to be good. And yes, you can get her from the Star Glitter shop, you can get Xingqiu from the Star Glitter shop, you can get Fischl, you can get Beidou, you can get Bennett, but how much Star Glitter are free-to-plays really getting? With that many characters, you don't get that many wishes as a free-to-play. And sacrificing 7 wishes for a StarGlitter character, like yes, it's worth it, but you can only do it so many times, and if you do it wrong, you'll end up wasting wishes. Like say that character does appear on a banner you wanted, you'll end up wasting wishes. So going back to the banner history, I want to look at 3.0. We had Xingqiu how many times? 1, 2, twice again. And then looking at 4.0, we had him once, that's it. So it seems like, maybe we can extrapolate this pattern more. It seems like maybe they aim to rerun 4-stars twice per patch, which by the way is not sustainable as we continue to get more and more and more 4-stars. But let's say they are able to somehow manage 2 4-stars per version update. What are the odds that that 4-star lands on the banner that you wanted? Like sure, maybe you did want Yelan and Hu Tao, but what if you didn't? What if you already got Yelan? What if you didn't want it? What if you didn't want Hu Tao? Now you either have to build pity or hope that the next time he appears, it'll be on a banner that you actually wanted, which he ended up being on Hu Tao again and Novelette. And what if it's very conceivable that someone didn't want Novelette. And this whole problem becomes so much worse if you're trying to target a character that's not on the Star Glitter shop. Like I mentioned, aforementioned Sucrose, but what if you want Rosaria? What if you want Hazo? What if you want Kuki? Kuki is a huge one. That's been a big problem because she is a 4-star staple for Hyper Bloom teams. She got first introduced on Artaki Ito's banner, so she ran once in 2.0. How many times did she run 3.0? There was once, and then I think she came one more time on the Nahida banner. Twice, so this banner was great, although I know a lot of people got Nahida the first time and didn't want her but wanted Kuki. And then what have we seen in 4.0? Has she not appeared yet? Oh, there we go. On Sino and Ayato. And it's very conceivable that you didn't want Sino or Ayato. And she's not available on the Star Glitter shop. And not only that, you know, we've talked about first of all how dependent 4-star characters are on constellations, which you might not be convinced of. We'll talk about that again. But we've talked about how infrequent they appear on banners. Now think about how unlikely it is to actually get a 4-star character. If you say you want to build pity and see, which I don't recommend by the way because of how dangerous it is. I recommend it sometimes. Like if you really want the 4-star and you wouldn't mind getting the 5-star, that can be okay. But you start off with a 1 in 3 chance, but you only have a 50% chance of even getting an on-banner rate up. So you actually have a 1 in 6 chance of getting the 4-star. And sure, sometimes you get some double 4-stars, but still it's going to take you on average, maybe not an average, but if you're unlucky, like on the unluckier side, it could easily take you 40, 50 pulls to just get 1 copy of the 4-star you wanted. I know people's luck has been way worse and of course way better. Sometimes you get exactly what you want and sometimes you get 2, 3, 5-stars before you even get a copy of a 4-star. So just to get 1 copy of a 4-star, it may take you 40, 50 pulls to get a Kuki, to get a Sucro, to get a Candace, to get a Chevra. So it took me, I got C3 Raiden, so I already had C0, but I got 4 more copies of Raiden before getting C6 Chevras. I did that because I'm a Raiden simp. I still haven't activated my C0 Raiden, my C6 Raiden, or C4 Raiden because I want to build and test her at C0 for a bit longer, but I wanted to test her with C6 Chevras, and I just couldn't help but think to myself, what kind of person has a C6 Chevras and a C0 Raiden? Maybe a new player that saved up and put a bunch of wishes and then also got lucky with Chevras and got unlucky with their Raiden pulls, but more than likely, if you have a C6 Chevras or a C6 Sara, you have a C2 Raiden. So why are we comparing C6 4-stars with C0 5-stars? It doesn't seem to make any sense. And again, I'm very guilty of this. It's an easy standard to go off of when I'm making my tier list and when I'm doing comparison. But I think that to assume that if you're going to make a guide, I'm not calling out guide makers. This is what they've done for a long time, where when we talk about free-to-play guides, we're talking about, you know, one of the hero free-to-play teams, right, is the Taser team, comprising of Sucrose, Singcho, Fischl, and Beto. And I appreciate that, you know, this is a free-to-play friendly team, and that, but how many years is it going to take you to get all these characters from the Star Glitter shop? You can't just target banners with these characters unless you're a day one player. You don't have C6 of all these characters. I'd love to hear what constellation all your guys' characters of. I'd love to see like data spreadsheets of free-to-play players, how long they've been playing, and what constellation all of their characters are, because I bet it's just a mega smattering of tons and tons and tons of different types of characters. And so what I'm saying is it's very hard to assume that a free-to-play player will have all these characters. Like, people always want free-to-play guides, but your free-to-play is different than my free-to-play, different than Joey's free-to-play. Like, all of ours are totally different. And not only that, but a lot of characters, and I said at this beginning, more often than not, they get massive power spikes with their constellation. Like, let's go through them. Gumming, huge power spike through his C6. I basically don't recommend building him unless you plan on getting his C6. Now, he's a Lantern Rite character, so you can guarantee at least one copy of him per year from the Lantern Rite. So that's really, really good. And hopefully he's on a banner that you want the character of, like Shan Yun or something. But if you start getting unlucky with him and don't get copies of him and get a copy of Shan Yun, what are you supposed to do? Keep pulling? Like, that's a hard ask. Same with Chevrolet. Yes, she's good at C0, but if you really, really wanted to pop off, you need her C6. So, and she's not available from the Star Glitter shop. She's not available anywhere. So what are you supposed to do? You're just supposed to wait and hope she's on a banner that you're looking to pull for. Charlotte pretty much needs her C4. Fremine pretty much needs a C6. Lynette, if you want to really use her properly, needs a C6. Kave's a special crazy case. He hasn't rerun in over 7 months. Kave's first banner was Baiju, and when was this? April, May of 2023, and we're already in February. It's been more than 7. It's been 9. That's nuts. And thankfully, for most people, Kave isn't a character that they've tried to build. And I mean, also thankfully, people haven't been getting him because he only existed once on a banner that nobody pulled for because he's an awful character. But heaven forbid you actually want this character and you actually want his C6. I got kind of lucky and got him from the standard banner once or twice and as an off rate up, and so I actually have a C4, but even still, I don't even have a C6. But anyways, that's a huge problem. Mika pretty much needs a C6, at least for his physical teams. Yao Yao is a good guy character. She only needed her C0, or good girl, or whatever. This sounds weird to say. She only needs her C0 to do everything, and she's a Lantern Rite character. Farzan absolutely needs her C6. At least she's been on this banner. I know I have her as the thumbnail, but at least she's on this banner and isn't just glued to Wander. That is maybe the one area that things have improved since the last time I talked about this issue. Every other metric has gotten worse. It's definitely worse overall, but the one metric that has improved is that Farzan, they've shown they're willing to put exclusive characters with new characters, because for a while she wasn't even on Zhao's banner, and that was just super freaking annoying. Finally, she's on another banner, so that's really good. Layla is a character that is really good even at C1, but does want her C4. Candace, good enough at C1 to use on Nilu Bloom teams, basically her only great team. But if you want to use her outside of that, she basically needs her C6. Dory, if you want to use her in any capacity, needs her C6. Kale, her C6 is a big deal. Hazo, his C6 is a huge deal. Cookie only needs her C2, but we've already talked about how cancer it is to try and pull 4 stars, and the banners she's been on have been really, really sus. How are you supposed to get yourself a Cookie? Yunjin needs her C6 to like really separate herself off as a buffer for Yoimiya or Wanderer or Ayato and even be competitive. Even though she's not even the ceiling, but even be competitive. Goro needs a C6. He's only available on Ito's banner. Toma really needs a C4 to not have huge energy issues. Kujosara needs her C6. Sayu is sort of fine. Sayu National with Farina is really Goro needs a C6. He's only available on Ito's banner. Toma really needs a C4 to not have huge energy issues. Kujosara needs her C6. Sayu is sort of fine. Sayu National with Farina is really good, by the way. Try it if you haven't. Check out my 4-star Farina video, by the way. Yanfei, I actually don't know. Rosaria is pretty okay. Early constellations. A bunch of these ones, these are kind of whatever. Diana, Sucrose needs her C1. Chongyun needs his C6. Noelle really needs her C6. Bennett loves his C5, but doesn't need it. Really just needs C1. Fischl's kind of okay because her A4 is the most broken part, but her C6 is good. For some teams, Ningguang needs her C6 to be a DPS. Singto needs a C6. Beto just wants C2, I think. Shangling needs C4. Razor is Razor. Barbara is Barbara. And I also did want to talk about Lisa, Kaya, and Amber, because how on earth are you supposed to get these characters on top of spending your Star Glitter? I used to recommend just spending your Star Glitter for pulls because you're already short on pulls as a free to play, and 7 pity is a lot to sacrifice. Like, that's a lot to sacrifice for one single copy of a 4-star character. Like, 7 pity towards a 5-star is a lot to sacrifice, and now you're expected to not only get constellations of Bennett, of Singcho, of Beto, of Shangling, of Fischl from the Star Glitter shop, but also if you want to main Amber, Lisa, or Kaya, to spend your Star Glitter there as a free to play. Like, that's tough. That's tough. We're in a tough spot. New players especially are in a really